we are back for episode 2 of season 3, and that's exciting, isn't it, Sammy?
It is really exciting. Yes, we are here for it.
Back on a roll. We've found our flow again. We're going to be talking about that later this season.
Mm.
Um, in the meantime, though, this season we're talking all about foundations, and there is a method in the madness and a reason that we're doing that. Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons we're doing it actually, but one of them is that we've co-created a service that is rooted in foundations, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what those foundations are in a moment. Um, but the reason that we're doing this is because we realized from working with so many clients together, which has been a lovely thing that we've been doing a lot of since we last released podcast episodes, um, that there was a lot of overlap in how we work together and sort of core tenets of how we work, and a lot to be gained from working in this way and kind of, I don't want to say formalizing because we're not really formalizing kind of people, but effectively formalizing that process. And we do need to confess, we did do a naughty thing earlier this year, and we don't advocate for doing this naughty thing. And we will tell you usually to do the opposite of what we did, which was effectively closet launching this offering. We did it by stealth. We did the build it and they will come thing effectively. Um, it doesn't work. Don't do it.
Yeah, do as we say, not as we do.
There's lots of reasons that that ended up being the case. It
There
wasn't
was
the
some good reason.
intention. We did plan to launch with a bit more fanfare and do things properly, but we were in the done is better than perfect frame of mind at that point. And then life and business and projects and things kind of took over. A bit like why we haven't podcasted for a while. Um, so basically, key lesson, you need to tell the people who need it that the thing exists because that's how it can actually help them. So this episode is by and large going to be about the thing that we created. Um, it's not a sales piece. We're It's going to be useful to you whether you end up working with us or not, because we're going to be talking about those all important foundations and what they can mean for your business.
Yeah, it's the piece that we connected on really quickly, wasn't it? Of kind of like how we work with clients, and it's really
Mm.
about, kind of being rooted in your mission, um, what you stand for, what you love about what you do, what gets you out of bed in the morning, um, the vision you have for your business, where do you want to take it, where do you want to go, and obviously what do you need to get you there. You can't just sort of think it into into existence. And your core values, like we're obviously very very values led people ourselves and businesses, and so we love to work with our clients in terms of really pulling out those values and using them as a way to connect with your audience and like-minded people. So from that, really creating a fully aligned and empathy-led brand identity, because obviously that's how you really, in that first instance, really communicate with your audience, through the visuals and the complete story that your customers and clients connect with. So, you know, those I've got just straight away got an image of like people around a campfire. The stories that people remember.
Mm.
It's not the I don't know, the quippy sort of sales pitch things. It's the meaning and the story and the whys, and how you really connect with people. So we really work in that sort of story led way, and bringing those elements with a couple of other elements, more technical stuff like SEO and how that works with the copy, which is where I think our magic really kind of comes into its own. Is what Limelight has become, really, those kind of really important brand and business foundations that are important when you're getting started, but equally important when you're an established business and actually coming back to those
Mm.
foundations, building from that point is what's really going to propel you forward. Um, so that's what we're going to be talking about. So if you feel
Yeah.
like you're in need of a bit of stepping into the limelight and getting your spark back, really reconnecting and recapturing your audience. I think it's probably part of a bit of a normal business journey, isn't it? That kind of
Mm.
falling out of love with your business, but yeah, maybe it's gone in a way, or you're not quite sure where you've ended up, or you kind of feel stuck that okay, all those bits, bootstrapping and you do when you're getting going gets you so far, and actually, how do I take this forward? Um, and that's where I think sometimes it's actually really, really helpful to get help and other eyes on your business. I think it's pretty hard to do it without help, to be honest. As you say, whether that's us or whether that's somebody else or other resources, like you need to get out of your own head.
Yeah, you reach a certain point. I don't want to say business journey because it's very overused, but as a business owner, you reach a certain point in the process where it's kind of it's a bit of a crossroads thing. It's usually a bit of a niggle that won't go away, and you don't know which direction to take next, and you're being pulled in lots of different directions, but you kind of reach that point of wanting to conserve your energy and bring things back to center and be a lot more focused in moving forward, whether that's that you want to reach a new audience or launch a new product or service. Um, it's that kind of stepping up piece, I think, for a lot of business owners. Once you've done the DIY thing for a while and explored different ways of doing things. You've probably chased the shiny objects for a while and done all the things. Right, okay, what do I want this business to be? What does it really stand for? And where is it going? And it's not straightforward to do on your own because there's just so much stuff to unpick, and you're so down in the weeds in the
Yeah,
day-to-day actual doing of the things. It's nigh on impossible to do on your own.
yeah. It's definitely something or several clients have said that to me and used those kind of words of, you know, this has all got me so far, and yes, I've done my website
Mm.
myself and this, that, and the other, but actually I need to kind of look more professional now and have that kind of really well thought out, pulled together, you know, identity, online presence, all those things that then become your I don't know, a bit like your map, so to speak, and then
Mm.
you can pull from it, as you move forward. Um, and I think in today's world, it's pretty hard as well because if you think about for most business owners, especially if you're the only person in your business and you are doing everything, things are moving at such a fast pace.
Mm.
Technology, platforms, I had a client the other day that was like, okay, what do I need? What do I need to give you? What do I need to create a website to create this? And I was kind of like running down, I could just see the kind of horror kind of coming across her face. And I was like, okay, it sounds like a lot, but actually, don't worry, I've done all the rabbit holing for you. I've looked at different things, so and things are evolving and changing all the time. So, you're in the weeds with that as well. Let alone having some kind of clear headspace to actually step outside of that and um, step into your ideal client's shoes. Having that fresh viewpoint, I think is just, I find it impossible, to be honest. Um, to really convey what you want. And I think we're probably, a lot of us are very good at dampening down our shine without
Mm.
really meaning to. It's not conscious, it's like a subconscious thing. Whereas somebody else is actually polishing that shine rather than covering it over like you know um and that's I think where the real magic is, and where that's the kind of key differentiator of you compared to your business. At the end
Mm,
of the day, you are a business owner, and that's a really important realization to have. And stepping into that is so much easier when you've been through this process.
mm. Yes. And it's the difference between that rabbit in headlights feeling versus being in the limelight and putting your business in the limelight and being seen for the incredibly talented, wonderful person that you are, and the amazing show that your business is putting on because you're doing amazing things. But it can feel, yeah, as you say, quite panic inducing to try and figure that out on your own. Um, why do you think we created Limelight?
Um, I think we realized that we were both doing really important work. There were lots of crossovers, but actually it's way more powerful when you combine the two, because there's that kind of, does copy lead design, does design lead copy,
Mm,
and we've kind of worked around like kind of what the best practice is, and it might depend on a client as to how we work sometimes, but it's they're intertwined and they need to inform each other. And so having a close relationship where we're communicating together, where we're bringing two heads rather than one on a client project, clients feel like they've got a real team, are really well supported, feel like a weight is lifted off their shoulders, and it's a lot more seamless on their end because they're not having to kind of, okay, my copywriter says this, right, to give that to the design person. Oh no, they need something different. I'll go back, backwards and forwards. It needs to work in harmony.
mm,
And I think that's where we realize that, even when we're working on the same projects, it's still not quite, wasn't quite as meshed as it could be. And so actually, let's just bring it properly together in a proper process, where we're not necessarily, we're not duplicating things for clients. They're not having to go through kind of similar processes. We feed off of each other's work,
mm.
because it's so aligned. And yeah, that's kind of amplified in the output, I think.
Yeah. So,
What was your reason?
uh, we were already working very collaboratively. That kind of came about organically. And that's kind of, what kickstarted the podcast in the first place was that whole digital gold dust piece of, I was seeing clients take their copy away and never actually implement it.
Never
Um,
seeing it again.
yeah.
Get the right
No,
day.
no, that's not what it's there for. Um, that kind of was the beginning of our working collaboratively. But I think we both recognized that there was a lot more value and flow in it, creatively as well as for the clients,
Yeah,
when we
100.
worked more closely together. The sort of onboarding questionnaire type stuff, and exploring the sort of under the hood stuff. Well, if you were working in a silo and working with a copywriter over there and a designer over there, you're going to do that twice.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe answering some of the same questions, maybe answering different ones. Feels repetitive, a bit onerous, and you probably don't feel like you're digging up additional gems. Whereas when you work with the two of us together and we share those resources, our, you know, treasure digging process gets meshed and we get more out of it. The client gets more out of it because there's so many revelations just through that early
Yeah.
exploratory phase and the research phase. And that all then gets fed into the outputs, whether that's the brand visuals or whether that's the messaging. Um, And I think just that more crystallized, streamlined, simpler approach is
Yeah,
what
it's
most
more
business owners need, because it all feels very complicated and onerous. And oh God, I'm working with a person over here and they're talking at me, and I'm working with a person over here and they're talking at me, and oh God, where was that file again? And oh, I've sent them the wrong. They're saying I've got the wrong file, and how do I find the right files? We we're not, cutting out the middleman. The client isn't the middleman. The client is the absolute center of the whole
yeah.
thing. Um, but we kind of then manage, you know,
Lessen the load on, yeah,
yeah,
taking the admin off, um, which your time is already stretched. So yeah, it's making it more efficient basically. Um, and getting, as you say, getting more value out of it.
yeah. And, there's a lot to be said for agencies. We're not one. We're kind of working in a micro agency style, so it's similar level of output, but with two humans and,
Yeah.
not a whole bunch of other people thrown into the mix, so you never know who you're talking to and what's going on at what stage.
Yeah. We're small businesses too, so
Yeah.
we get it. As you say, your our clients are our focus. They're not kind of one of a number of things that are going on in an agency. So yeah. So yeah. As we like to do, kind of organically grow things, as which is, you know, ideal if that's what your clients need, you know, then that's the best way to create a new service or offering is out of that very natural organic need.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't we built it first and then tried to retrofit it to people. It was, this is what
Yeah.
we're seeing coming up again and again.
We're
We're
kind
ha
of
we
doing this anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And we are helpers, and we do just naturally want to make things easier for people. And this was our way of doing that, um, whilst helping people to actually be recognized and remembered, because that's frustrating to see from our point of view of businesses that we think are absolutely amazing,
Mm.
and business owners that we're just, you know, gobsmacked by what what they're doing and what's inside their brains and stuff, and they're not getting the recognition they deserve, and that doesn't feel right.
No, exactly. Like, yeah, as we said before, it's when it's you, it's quite hard to, have that show in your communications with your clients and or customers, your community, your audience, whatever you want to call them. And I think that's kind of fundamental to our process as well, that it's more, we look at it as more as building and connecting with the community, not just a customer or a
Mm,
client. It's actually connecting with people on a deeper level and building, a loyal community that resonate with you, that you are actually communicating with and not talking at,
mm,
um, which builds for a much more sustainable business longer term. And I think with the work we were doing separately, they felt like there was a bit of a part missing, that there was an element that was letting that business down, not for any fault of their own. It's just sometimes you just need that professional input to really bring it to life. And so you can't really have one without, it's hard to have one without the other. Like it's just so much more amplified when the two are together.
mm,
Um, as you say, with the visuals and the messaging, that when one's off, then you're not getting the full benefit out
mm,
of the work that you've paid, you know, to have done and the help that you've invested in. We want you to get the most out of that um, as well. And I'm just so passionate about helping small businesses thrive because, we need more of them in the world, not less of them. And we know things are tricky. We've had tricky years. This year has also been pretty challenging, I think, for a lot of businesses.
Mm.
And, you know, having these foundations in place and adding on things like search engine optimization that are still done, led with heart, led with, human led, human first, search engine second, but actually there's some strategic elements that we can pull in and weave in with that storytelling that can, you know, hopefully get more of an audience, more of that audience finding you. We know it's extremely tiring putting stuff out, churning out content for social media. Everybody says it. I hate doing it. I have to do
Yeah.
it. I don't enjoy it. And then I'm sitting there thinking, my God, that's gone in 2 seconds. It's something you're not enjoying. You're spending so much time on it. Done it myself, spent hours creating a reel, when you're first trying to do it. It was like my whole New Year's Eve once was basically doing a reel with my end of year highlights. I was like, well, that was a really well spent day for it to, potentially disappear in a few seconds. Whereas actually putting the investment in to things that are long lasting, that are going to pay you back long term, again, is helping to build a more sustainable business. So it's bringing all that together that's so juicy.
Yeah. And there are two things that you said there that I kind of just want to pull out a bit more strongly. Is one, the timeless quality, because that's a big deal for both of us, is
Yeah,
that what you have is timely in that, it's for now, but it's also looking ahead to the future, and it's something that you can also grow into and expand from. Um, it's not just, you know, funky, fresh, quick rebrand, and you'll be doing it again in
yeah, on
a year or
trend.
two's time. Yeah, no, it's not about trends. It is about those absolute core gems that make your business and st set it apart from the crowd and draw people to you, or completely naturally. The other thing you said there was about being strategic. Um, it's actually something we're both very good at naturally, um, and we have a lot of background in it. We don't really talk strategy. We've never talked strategy much through the podcast, and I think we've probably both gone more down the creative route historically, because strategy does sound a bit boring, to a lot of people. But actually, strategy is what underpins the majority of our work, and in putting Limelight together, I think we've brought strategy much more to the fore. And it's not just, here are your bits. It's all going to be lovely. It's these things are going to help you to achieve this because of that. And this is how you're going to be able to use it moving forwards. And it's rooting people in those foundations themselves, they're not just there for us.
Yeah, no, exactly. And let's not beat around the bush. It's really the strategy that is gonna really help make you money. And we can't promise X, Y, Z, and we don't try to.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, you're a business, and you need to earn money in your business. It's right that somebody pays you for your services or your product and all that wonderful, ness that you bring. And we know it's kind of can feel uncomfortable talking about it, which is why we've got a couple of episodes coming up on that topic because, you know, it's it's not something that we can brush under the carpet. Like it needs to happen. And so having something beautiful, yes, having something that connects, yes, they're all elements that go into it. But yeah, that underpinning strategic piece is what's going to help really kind of move your business forward on in the commercial sense,
mm,
the nicest possible way. Like we know that most of us are not in business for the money. The money is the nice byproduct of what we really care about, but um, there needs to be tools in place that are going to help you maximize that so that you can do your best work and not be a frazzled, burnt out mess by trying to, we know it's a hard grind building a business, and we're not saying it's all singing, all dancing, Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. Uh,
Damn.
I know that's what you wanted. There's
Yeah.
times when it is, and we love to celebrate those, but we all know it's bloody hard work too. Um, and so this can help get you there quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. We
Just
should probably talk at this point about those foundations because I think we've kind of glossed over them slightly. Um, and what this series is going to be dedicated to, as well as what Limelight really focuses on. These are the
yeah,
foundations that we
nice.
identified that we share, but that make for solid business building.
Yeah, and we'll go into more depth in future episodes, but yeah, this is kind of a nice little teaser of what's coming up. Um, Starting with your mission.
Mm. Oh, the why. The annoying child one. Why? Why are you
Why?
doing things?
Why? Um, yeah. So it's something again we both worked on with our clients individually, and I've brought that in together with this is that, identifying what your mission is, what your values are, um, what do you stand for, what do you love about what you do, what hill would you die on? Lee, that's one of your favorites.
Here's my
Your
favorites.
proverbial hill with your flag, or your soapbox topic, um, because that's going to get you through the tough times,
Mm,
as well as keeping you focused on why you've built the business you have. And sometimes over time you can lose that clarity,
mm,
or it shifts, businesses grow and change over time. As we've highlighted, it's an organic process. So it's kind of getting, okay, has it changed and where is it now? And where does that focus need to be? It's something that's so great that you can come back to and remind yourself when you feel a bit lost in the weeds again, or you're going down a different road and you're like, hang on, no, I've done the foundational work. I'm going to come back to my why and what I care about and what's really important. And it helps to kind of get rid of some of the stuff that you don't need that
mm.
is easy to pick up baggage along the way. That you can kind of throw that off and be like, no, I don't need that. Um,
And that comes through as, a mission statement, comes through as sort of brand positioning work, um, your sort of key messaging stuff. And then that feeds into the visual
yeah,
development and the route for SEO. And then that then feeds back into the actual copy and key content. So it's we start from there, not just for funsies, but because it comes back around and delivers really good, tangible outputs that are the
yeah,
building blocks that we keep
yeah.
growing from.
Yeah, because your clients aren't mind readers. And so it's all
Mm,
really good if your mission is, firmly in sustainability and eco-friendly or planet friendly or, something like that. But then your visuals don't align with that. Your messaging doesn't align with that. Like in your head, you're like, yeah, I'm doing a great thing here. This is what I'm really passionate about. But if that's not being communicated, then that's all being lost.
mm,
Um, and it's amazing actually how often you kind of see that, as you say, that's why so many treasures do get unearthed in that early stage because people have it in their heads, but it's like, okay, but I'm an outside person and that's maybe not really coming across.
mm,
Or, this is how we can position it, um, and really make you stand out by bringing those to the fore. So it's yeah, it has a lot of uses. I've come back to mine several times. I've said to clients several times, okay, let's go back to
Yeah.
like anchor number one, your mission statement.
Yeah.
Uh, it gets you fired up because you remember like when you get lost in the day to day or you're having a really tough week or day or whatever it is, you kind of be like, oh yeah, it gives you that energy back again of like, this is why I'm doing it. Okay, right, let's go again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that, is there for not just an initial starting point, as you said, it lives on.
Absolutely. Um, and it kind of runs concurrently with getting clear on your who. So your why, your who, um, and getting that really clear picture of your dream clients. Because whilst you might have some drivers, we also need to identify the intersection between what you want to talk about and
Mm,
what your people need to hear.
yeah.
So that you're actually connecting and delivering something that people want and need. It's building that community that you talked about already, and getting laser focused on attracting and talking to your right people, not everyone. We really want to anchor into who are those people that will fire you up to get out of bed when it's miserable out, when you're tired, when you've worked all the hours and you feel like you're running out of steam. Right? How can we reignite that spark again? It's knowing who you're doing it for, and tying who you're doing it for and why you're doing it together so that everything flows out from there and is really compelling and connecting and weaves those two things together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably have already have an element of, being passionate about who they want to serve. And as you say, that slips into helping everybody.
Mhm.
Um, but it's coming back to kind of that sense of building a community of people and loyal customers rather than just a client and a customer that, you're not really stepping into their shoes
Mm.
and putting them at the front. Sometimes we slip into the I,
Mm.
and not the you. And so it's making sure that actually you're positioning them at the center and you need to know who the them is and the language that the more clarity you have on who that is, and again, it will change and it will grow and it will, you'll have more than one ideal client in terms of if you've got different offerings, like different people need different things. Um, but it means that you are really honing in on their language, which feeds in really importantly into obviously connecting through the messaging, but also again through that strategic piece and the search engine optimization. I look at with my clients a lot at, okay, what is the language that your ideal clients are using? Because that's what they're putting into search engines, that's what they're plugging into Google. And if we're not connecting the two, then all those lovely people that you want to help, they're not going to find you. So um, it's absolutely fundamental into, yeah, kind of propelling your business forward, um, and connecting with the right audience.
Absolutely. We're looking for that overlap between I want and they need. So you're not self-sacrificing. It's not all about customers, but it's also not all about you. There are key points in the middle that are true to both of you, and those are the core connection points, and they then get to run through everything and create that really compelling visual and written story that grabs attention and holds it.
Yeah. And they are then, that flows directly into the brand visuals as well.
Mhm.
Because as much as you want your branding, your logo, your colors, your typography, all those fun designy bits, that we all love, fiddling around with when we're getting started. Um, they are built off the back of that insight
Mm,
to the mission, the values, the ideal client. And, I've had a few people say to me like, oh, I didn't realize it was quite so, kind of in depth and strategic and thought led, in terms of the colors. It was kind of, again, people are quite quick to sort of think about what they like or, what they resonate with. It's like, okay, yes, we want you to feel completely aligned, proud and confident with your branding, but also we need to make sure that that sits really well with that ideal client, that it's not like they land on your website and are like, oh, hang on, something's off, that doesn't match, which can happen. So it's making sure that that really aligns together so that, it's visually communicating as well as, the messaging is,
mm,
and the intention behind it is brought through. Um,
absolutely. It
yeah,
is all about basically making your brand the destination for what you do, using those foundations as building blocks. And it's building something that actually will last.
yeah, exactly. And obviously, again, those bits then feed directly into the messaging and
Mm,
the brand voice that you create with your um, guidelines on tone of voice and messaging, which is an absolute treasure when you go to create a new document, a newsletter, a proposal, whatever it is, and you're staring at a blank screen. And you're like, I know, done the hard work. I know I can lift and repurpose and reuse something that brings you back in touch with all those fundamentals that we've just talked about.
mm. Yeah, and if you've got a team,
Yeah,
then rather than you being the central point of knowledge and being the person that's constantly needs to be in the thick of things, you can use those guidelines and tangible outputs to spread spread the message and give people the tools to do stuff themselves so that you don't have to do all of the doing. So
yeah,
if it's a wordplay book, you can give that to every person in your small team if you're not a solo business owner, or if you are a solo business owner, you can give it to someone else that you're bringing in to do work for you, whether that's a designer, a photographer, an SEO specialist, whatever. You
Mhm.
can share these documents with other people and they will get your business and be able to root themselves in it and deliver stuff with much more ease for you.
Yeah, yeah, really takes the kind of stress out of finding a way to communicate that and keep it consistent. Um, because obviously, you want that, you don't want to be hopping around and talking about this, talking about that, and using lots of different language. You kind of want to keep it pretty unified and again being laser focused on that messaging and having the right language to bring in that actually amplifies your message and goes from blur to bling.
Did you really
Bling's not the
just say
right.
bling?
I did. I did it purely to actually see the expression on your face. Yeah, that something that can sound really ordinary suddenly becomes uplifting, captivating,
Mm,
exciting, and it's not it's more enjoyable for yourself when you're communicating with your audience and writing for your business. It makes it a real joy. So, and
absolutely.
if you want to share it more,
Absolutely. Well, that leads us quite nicely into what the limelight difference actually is and what people will be able to do differently with this, or working with the foundations that we've
yeah,
just talked about. So I think the first thing is that when they have aligned visuals, branding, and messaging, they'll actually be able to show up online and in the real world in a way that makes people fall head over heels with their businesses. Um, it's just really powerful
Yeah.
stuff, and it really puts the beating heart of the business on show for all to see.
Yeah. Because if you don't feel energized and confident, you know, with what you created for your business, you're not going to share it. And so you're still going to hit that stumbling block.
Mm.
Whereas we've definitely noticed clients are a lot more confident, feel that they've got a lot more structure to move forward from, that scaffolding is in place, and it means you can move forward with a lot more confidence, which means you are more visible naturally because you want to be telling everyone about this
Hmm.
shiny, lovely, new updated branding, new updated website, like you did
Yeah,
with your revamped, beautiful website.
yeah, can't stop, won't stop talking about it.
Like your tagline. Can't stop, won't stop. And why
Yeah,
should you? Why
well,
should you work so, everyone works so hard in their business.
yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that we've seen with clients who've kind of had this sort of experience is that they're more likely to go after opportunities that they wouldn't have done before.
Yeah, definitely. And can often find opportunities, also find them as
Mm.
well. Like it's a two-way street. You go after it, but also some come
It
to you,
finds you. Yeah.
find you. And that's a bit different from building they will come, but it's a byproduct of you talking about your service, your business to somebody who then passes that on to someone they know, they connect you. There's so many ways that just little things in day-to-day life that when you're excited and confident about it, that those opportunities, those doors start to open because you are being more visual and more visible, sorry, and more active in how you're
Yes.
communicating.
Yes. Yes. Build it and they will come as a passive thing. This is about taking the bull by the horns and putting out that energy that you are open to opportunities.
Yeah. And in a really lovely way as well. It's not like, kind of sales pitches.
Yeah.
It's naturally excited to talk about it, which is the best way of spreading the message. And, depending on your business type, but hopefully inspiring people along the way as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And when you make that connection because you've got inside the skin and in under the skin and inside the hearts and minds of your right people, you form an almost unbreakable but very sincere bond with those people because you're building that community and that space around them and putting them at the center of the story. It's just all becomes much more easeful and lovely and powerful.
yeah. And ironically, it's reminded me of a couple of times I've heard just by chance a couple of people that have gone like kind of viral on social media and things like that.
Mm,
And they've actually come back to the fact that what kind of made them successful, we're talking like millions of followers level of success, is they came back to just being genuinely them and not really following, you know, this template, that thing. It was
mm.
actually like, I want to do this. I'm going to put it out there. And over time, that has built. So it just proves that people want that genuine connection. Um, and it will naturally, you know, it will naturally show through when that's there. So it's kind of making sure that we're uncovering that, not hiding it away, bring it to the forefront to build those natural connections.
Absolutely. So before we wrap up, should we talk about who Limelight was actually kind of created for?
Yeah, because a lot of our podcasts, we obviously talk about the sort of new business owners,
Mm.
uh, and we've talked about elements of these foundations that are important when you're getting started, but actually this level of service is really for the kind of slightly more established businesses, 2 or more years really, where you have more clarity on what your business is, the direction it's going in, and you've kind of done that early stage natural thing of experimenting, trying different things, you know, you're a bit more centered in what you want, how you want your business to run, the kind of life you want to lead, um, and just need to kind of get to that next level, really, kind of elevate what you've got, um, recalibrate. It could be that you're feeling a bit misaligned, or things have, yeah, gone off on a tangent and you're feeling a bit lost, but you're a couple of years down the line. Um, so you've kind of got that early stages of experimenting out the way. And
Absolutely. And I think it's especially aimed at people who are ready to kind of up level, maybe reinvent themselves or their business identity and invest in refining that brand identity and messaging because they recognize the difference that could make to where they're going.
yeah, and they know that they need outside help for that,
Mm,
that that's going to take, um seeing the value in what people do, who is their role, the web designers, copywriters, that you need their input, um to help really bring everything together as well as it can.
yeah. And on that, it's kind of that yearning for the sort of more coherent and holistic service that we've talked about, the sort of streamlining piece, where someone else will hold all the threads and navigate you through the process of overhauling
Yeah,
your works, because that can feel absolutely enormous.
yeah, but overwhelming when you're going it alone. So yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, needing a guide to help you through it, and be there with you on that journey is a really lovely thing. So
Yeah. And in this case, you get two.
yeah.
So if people are listening to this and thinking, I am ready to step into the limelight, what should they do, Sammy?
Well, I can go to the show notes, and we've got a link there to our Limelight page. You can read more about it, read more, a bit more detail. Um, we didn't break down everything that's included. There's so much value in there, but it is on, um, leetierney.com/limelight. If you want to read more about it, or obviously you can come and message either of us, to have a chat and see if it's the right fit for you, and listen to the episodes that are coming, because we'll be sharing more gold dust on those topics.
Absolutely. So if you've got questions about the foundations, you're not quite ready for the limelight, do stay tuned for the rest of the season because we're going to be taking each of those foundations and digging into them a little bit deeper, sometimes with the help of some excellent guests.
Mhm.
In the meantime, though, where can people reach us if they have questions, Sammy?
We are obviously on both of our websites. You can reach out to us on there. We've both got forms. You can email us, and obviously we are always on LinkedIn. You can find us on the Digital Gold Dust page, and obviously we've got our own respective pages too. So obviously Sammy Phillips, Colab Creative, and Lee Tierney. They can find us there too. But we'll pop it all in the show notes. The links will be in there if you want to reach out and have a chat.
And please don't sit there stuck. Our inboxes are always open to you. Here's to more people stepping into the limelight.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let them shine. We want you all to shine.